Jordan has won it. A spectacular ball. It is Michael Jordan time.
Your love of the game is still there. I can feel it from you, right? How did that love of the game fuel your career?
It was the basis of my career. My love of the game within my contract, which, I'm pretty sure most contracts now, I'm actually positive now, don't have that clause within the contract where
You had a clause in your contract.
love of the game contract that if I was driving with you down the street and I see a basketball game on the side of the road, I can go play in that basketball game. And if I get hurt, my contract is still guaranteed. I love the game so much that I would never let someone take the opportunity for me to play the game away from me. As opposed to now where you don't have it, players probably don't play. Now they get individual attention with their trainer.
Sure.
Ready to go out and shoot 100 shots or 1,000 shots. I found it to my benefit was go play basketball, man. That's what you did. That's what you grew up doing. Larry Bird he took a whole summer to work on his left hand, right? He did it by playing basketball.
So it's May. My season's been over. I'm a third-year guy in the league. I call you. Michael, what do I do from now until the season starts to get better? What are the things you tell me that are important?
First of all, is your passion. It's something about your passion or wanting to get better that drives that energy. I mean, when I say passion, that means if I have a love for ice cream, I mean real deep love for ice cream, I'm gonna do everything I can to go find ice cream.
Right.
Or find that flavor of ice cream.
What flavor, by the way?
Butter pecan for me.
Okay, good.
Just so you know.
Uh-huh.
But in terms of, if I had, basketball was that type of love for me. I had to find a way to make sure I was the best basketball player I could be. And I had a conversation this summer with a high executive at Minnesota, and he was talking about Anthony Edwards.
Yep, Ant-Man.
I heard during the course of the year that, they were double teaming me. He didn't know how to deal with the double team. Well, that's the highest respect that you can ever get if a team feels like they got to double team you. Now, how do you figure out a way to break that double team? Move without the ball, move into the post, get in scoring position so that the double team, you can act before the double, all those simple things. So, yeah, those are the types of conversations I try to have when players seek that information.
Do you see the players of today's basketball with that mindset to achieve greatness?
It's hard to be hungry when you have. Simple as that. I mean, if you don't have, you are willing to do whatever you have. So my mental approach was go in, do my job, be the best basketball player I can be, and all the chips and everything outside of that, I had people that was handling that, But basketball court, I'm handling it, right? And now it's like, it's a prerequisite. Everybody has to have a logo. Everybody has to have a...
why, right?
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm part of the reason why everybody tries to get a logo, but...
Brand, right?
A brand.
Right, brand Jordan.
But the thing is that brand is established based on what I did on the basketball court. I didn't put the brand before I put the work.
Right.
I put the work first, and then the brand evolved based on the work.
Right.
A lot of times it's different. You see it in every sport, not just basketball, football, baseball. Everybody's walking around with a logo and their hat, and I get it. But whatever I did here is never going to affect what I do on the basketball court.
But do you think that's harder now for guys? And there's social media and all this stuff, so they got to cut through the clutter here a bit, right?
Yeah, that's true. I like to think that if I was playing today,
right,
I like to think that no matter what, my game is going to validate whatever I try to participate in away from the game. It's really tough for the kids today, and most of them do a great job of navigating what you are talking about. That's as long as you understand that this is always going to be what you're remembered for. Basketball and your love for basketball should always be pure. We would play this game, I've always said this, we would play this game for free. We did. And now we just so happen to get paid for it. Generationally, I like to think that most of the time that people will remember Michael Jordan based on what he did on the basketball court and not always the commercials that he did.
Jordan talked about actually playing in practice rather than just working one-on-one with a trainer because nothing can prepare you like actual competition. That's when you push yourself and your teammates to be better than what you are. Plus, the more you play together, the more you learn their tendencies. Today's players focus more on the one on one with the trainer, but when it comes to games, they falter a little bit. I mean, look at Ben Simmons. Every offseason, you see him post on social media himself making all these shots, but when it comes to the season, he doesn't ever produce the same way. And as far as the ice cream analogy goes, I love butter pecan too. Not that any of you are dying to know, but no, you do. Even though I'm new to YouTube, I love doing videos, and I'm constantly thinking about how I can be better, asking for advice, watching other videos to see what others do and get ideas. And after I get home, I eat dinner and spend a few hours with my better half, and I do mean that literally when calling this person that. Then record, upload, rewatch, or edit until 10 or 11 at night. Then I get up again at 4:30 to 5 in the morning and then get ready for my day job. Since I'm new to YouTube, I'm not monetized. I'm not monetized. Not that I'm like hoping that I am going to be monetized and keeping that my main focus. My main focus is doing something that I love. Mark Twain once said, "Find a job you enjoy doing, and you'll never have to work a day in your life." And to that certain someone, thank you for being patient with this and being my biggest supporter. I love you. Okay, back to the video. MJ mentioned that it's hard to want when you have. And for me, that statement is so true. Without getting into specifics, I'll just say it like this. In the famous words of the American dream, Dusty Rhodes, I have wined and dined with kings and queens, and I slept in alleys and dined on pork and beans. But, it's human nature to work hard for the next promotion or to save up for that home or car. But when 19-year-old kids get life-changing money, they think they are set. What they fail to realize is they have to work hard to maintain it and even harder to keep it growing. I have a question for y'all. You don't have to write a response unless you feel compelled in the comments section. What things do you try to take care of or hold to a higher value? Things that are given to you or things that you worked hard for?
Jordan has won it. A spectacular ball. It is Michael Jordan time. Yes.
What we loved as fans when you played was the places and the buzz in the building. And there was nothing like Madison Square Garden when you played there.
Oh, wow.
So can you talk about what it's like for a star player to go into a place like that where everybody is waiting to see you be special?
Well, I've always considered Madison Square Garden the mecca of basketball, right? The knowledge of basketball, the way that people, perceive basketball. And they're hard workers. And the New York Knicks teams always seem to play hard for their fan base. And the fans knew it too. And if they didn't, the fans let them know that, right?
But they also let you know it too.
I go in there with the notion that I know it's not hostile. It's just it's more of the awareness that they're gonna cheer for the team and they do everything to get you off of your game.
It wasn't hostile towards you?
No, it was never hostile towards me. It was more motivating and trying to get me off my game.
Right.
And look, once I'm in a game, once the ball goes up, I never even hear the fans. If the fans ever can affect or I can hear the fans, that means I'm not focused on what I should be doing, which is playing the game of basketball.
So you
right?
truly blocked it out?
I get into the game.
Uh-huh.
My opponent becomes more the focal point. The fans are fans. Now, you get to a free throw line and you have a pause and I see Spike over there. Hey, sit down, you're not playing. Those types of scenarios happen quite often, right? But in the mix of the game, when tension is always happening, that's when I get tunnel vision, right? What they're doing is trying to distract you. I take it as a challenge. You know what? I'm gonna keep you quiet for a while. I'm gonna show how all that stuff that you're saying doesn't affect what I'm doing on the basketball court. The only way you can affect what I'm doing is to put on some shorts and come out here, right? But that's my mentality. That's and as a leader, I got to make sure the team, Scottie Pippen and all these guys, don't fall prey to that.
So as the big player, as the star guy, would you consciously, if you were going into a hostile environment, make sure the other guys knew
100%.
we can shut them up?
Yes.
Right.
Take the crowd out right from the beginning.
Right.
Phil says it in his speech. Well, he played in New York. Let's take the crowd out. Coming from Phil. I was a mouthpiece. Me and Scottie, we were a mouthpiece of Phil, in those situations. So we would go into New York City. I was never afraid of playing in New York City. Actually, it was a privilege because, if you do your job, you do the things that you're capable of doing, the New York fans are going to cheer you over their own fans. So the challenge was, let's see if I can turn that guy over there in the fifth row. Instead of calling me names, he started cheering Michael Jordan.
So what's your advice going into the Garden, or where it's going to be a different juice in the building, it's a big game for your team? What would you tell a star player about handling that night?
Be you.
Mm-hmm.
Be you. You are you 365 days of the year.
Right.
What they're trying to get you to do is not be you. And to me, that is a challenge for a young kid. But it's a privilege. It's an honor. If they're coming in and they're yelling at you, you are an impactful player.
Right.
That means if they feel like they can take you out of your game, then they have a better chance of winning. So if I'm talking to the young kids of today, is that, if you are an impactful player to your team, shut them up. Go out there and be you. If you be you, then they can't say anything. But if you're not you, they win.
There's one incident where there was a heckler in the crowd that I thought was kind of funny. It was in 1987 in Salt Lake City against the Utah Jazz. Jordan dunked on 6'1" John Stockton, and a fan who is often cited as late Jazz owner Larry H. Miller told Jordan to pick on someone your own size. The very next possession, he dunked on 6'11" Mel Turpin. And as he was going back to the other side of the court, he turned to Miller and said, "Was he big enough?" And as far as taking fans out of the game, the Bulls would try to run up the score in the first 3 quarters so they could just shut the fans up. And Michael Jordan would often only sit to close the first half and open the second half. And finally, mentioning the fans of the New York Knicks and how they will actually cheer for you and root for you if you're doing your job and doing it well. Several months ago, LeBron James was in New York City. And there's a video clip circulating around that time where a fan's actually yelling at LeBron James on the street. And the fan tells LeBron James, "Go back to LA, you bum. You're not MJ or you're not Kobe."
Jordan has won it. A spectacular move. It is Michael Jordan time.
I want to ask you about the international growth of the game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of 2028 in the LA Olympics.
Yeah.
And the U.S. at home may have a tough time in basketball winning the gold medal based on the way the rest of the world, you're rolling your eyes at me.
Yeah, only because I think basketball is so strong in the United States. I think there's no way we should lose.
All right, but it's not back to '84. It's
No,
not back to your teams, right? And that dominance.
it has evolved.
Okay, and watching those guys play for their national teams,
It's all huge.
it's great, right?
It's all huge.
That's basketball you probably love watching,
Yeah,
right?
that's very genuine. That is no money involved. It's pure passion
Right.
and dedication to the country as well as to the game.
Right. What has that Olympic experience done for you?
To me, it changed my name from Mike Jordan to Michael Jordan. You know, representing your country, feeling that energy of the United States in '84, and staying in the village, and understanding and spending time with all the other athletes and seeing their passion and their efforts.
You were in the village. That had to be so cool.
Absolutely
The way
so
it's
cool.
evolved, it's obviously changed in times.
'92, we rented a whole hotel. We was away
Right.
from everybody. Had police escort back and forth to the events. I mean, it's a total different experience. I mean, if you had to ask me which one I enjoyed the most in '84 by far.
One thing that's never changed with sports fans is the debate about the GOAT. Who's the greatest of all time? So it's rare that I get a chance to sit down with one of the guys who's debated about to talk about the conversation of that term, the GOAT.
Whole GOAT term is never going to be something that I ever will get high or low about. You know, it just doesn't exist with me. I never played against Oscar Robert or Jerry West. Would have loved to. Absolutely love to. Just as competitive as I am. You know, and I actually learned from them, you know, and we, you know, paved the road to the Kobe's and the LeBrons, right? You know, and to me, it's the beauty of the game of basketball that a player, after a previous player, has evolved the game further. But don't then, in essence, this is where I look at it, you know, don't then now use that against the player that actually taught you the game or that you learned from. And that's why I have a tough time. And, you know, look, I would love to have played against LeBron and, you know, Kobe in my prime. You know, I would love to have played, you know, against those guys. But we'll never be able to know that. Part of the marketing, part of the hype, part of the things that tries to elevate one generation above the other, I think it creates animosity. I have no animosity against today's players, but you do have certain players that do have animosity because of the forgottenness of what their contribution has been to the game of basketball. It is what it is. It is a empty comparison. It's a absolutely never find that the true answer to that question.
It's a circular conversation.
It's just going to keep
You're
going.
never going to get
and
a right
I understand.
answer.
And
But
you
it's
know,
great to talk about.
100% to talk about and envision. Look, I think LeBron has had an unbelievable career, and I admire him for what he's done. You know, and Kobe as well as KD and all these guys who have played in this era. I think they've elevated the game of basketball tremendously. I just don't agree when you start, you know, trying to put one above the other. It doesn't work. We'll never know. It creates more of a problem from, you know, not for me. I've never given it credence. But, you know, for other players who look for their existence within the generation of basketball. And we should always honor that. We should always preserve that. We should always, you know, reward that they paved the road for a lot of generations after that. And by doing that, you somewhat, I mean, Jabbar, I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, I mean, Bill Russell had 11 championships.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you just push them in the corner and say, oh, we ain't gonna think about you. You know, we forgot about you. You know, that to me is where I get lost.
Fun fact about that 1984 Summer Olympic team that Jordan was on, they were only college players back then. Back then, professional athletes could not compete in the Olympics. And that group of college kids, they played 8 games against NBA All-Stars going into the Summer Olympics. The group of college kids that Jordan played on went a perfect 8-0 against those NBA All-Stars. When talking about the GOAT debate, I love that Jordan never calls himself that. And he points out that he's never gotten the opportunity to play against some of the other greats. Unlike LeBron James after winning the 2016 finals, he said about himself, that one right there made me the greatest all time. And then his agent and head of Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, added to that even and said, for so many reasons. I'm sorry, I didn't realize having a 3-4 record in the finals made you the greatest player of all time. Back to more serious things. I'm sorry I made that joke. To me, that's a little disrespectful because he was automatically dismissing other greats without actually going up against them to measure yourself against them, other than what's on the stat sheet. I get that a player should be confident in their abilities, but there's a way to go about that. You don't have to be a jerk when making those statements. You can do it humbly. And the younger fans of this generation, I get it. This is the era of basketball you've watched and seen. But don't automatically put down prior generations. Like when y'all were saying, oh, we done with the 90s. Because you've only seen clips of players, not actual full game footage. Not to be disrespectful, I'm using this in the most literalist term you can. It's a little ignorant on your guys' part because you've never actually watched a full Michael Jordan game, a full Hakeem Olajuwon, or Magic Johnson, or Larry Bird, and the list can go on and on and on. Please, 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 I implore you, go out and watch the actual games. With YouTube, it's easier now than ever. Don't just look at a highlight reel. Experience what my generation experienced, and you'll have a deeper knowledge, if not a deeper love for the game of basketball. In closing, talking about this last segment, I'll leave you with this quote from former Chicago Bears running back Walter Payton, Sweetness himself. He said, if you're good at something, you'll tell everyone. But if you're great at something, they'll tell you. Now think, which part of that quote sounds like today's NBA players? Well, guys, this is officially the end of the video. Thank you for sticking around for both parts. I know combined it's a little long. I was going to do it in just one, but I saw the time, so I thought it would be better. Even though I could sit and watch Michael Jordan or listen to Michael Jordan speak about things all day long. It's motivating to me, and it teaches you life lessons. Yes, he's doing it through the lens of basketball, but if you read deeper into it, it shows you how to be a better person in general. Do you guys agree? Write it down in the comments. If you like these videos, like, share, and subscribe. And as for me, El Media de Norte del Americano, JK Reacts, signing out.